Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com. Racing isn't easy.
Hello everybody, is my mic on? Yes it is, and we are live once again to show you guys CIL Formula College FC. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the penultimate round of the inaugural IndyCar season here in the CIL FC. We are currently in Cali, Long Beach for the Long Beach Grand Prix, and tonight it is going to be a blast. Let's go over the track map here. So it is 1.96 miles in length. It is 11 turns. It was opened first back in 1975, so a relatively new track, you could say. Pit speed, 45 miles per hour, 72 kilometers an hour. And first seen, well, right now. It's the 2024 Season 11, also known as the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, located, like I said, in Cali. I mean, there's been a lot of firsts in the season, oval racing, but at least we can talk about the roadside, or I would say street circuit wise. It is our first time here at Long Beach, and honestly, for me, watching this in real life in the IndyCar, it's really just a spectacular show. It's a lot of opportunities in terms of passing in the heavy braking zone. Really one of the longest straightaways on the front stretch out of the last corner down into the first corner. I mean, you have a nice long right-hander after the start-finish line, but it's going to be a lot of opportunities, especially down into turn one. with such a long straight and a lot of drafting. But of course, first of all, I'd like to give thanks to our producer here up here with the booth with me, Matthew Nordberg. He is gratefully going to be producing, and this is word off hot off the press, and this is coming from him, so he can't be mad at me. But if work does allow him, which currently it does, and if he doesn't get too overwhelmed and doesn't get too much have a lot of responsibilities with work, he will be our producer for the CILFC and CILCSC for the remainder of the season. So we'll hopefully have him for the Fiji for the Fiji's endurance race that is soon enough, and not only I believe in 2 weeks times. So very exciting, as right now we are on board here with Clint Halterman, the UNC Charlotte of 044, as currently also another news hot off the press. He is currently one of the final four in our sister cup series on Mondays. He barely knocked me out of the points by 3 points, so not, I'm not going to be biased towards him tonight. No, Clint, got love for him. Good luck with him in his final four at Vegas in 2 weeks time. But as we see right now, he is currently about to start a lap, I believe, as he's gonna round about the final corner. And it's like in the name, Long Beach. It's got a long straightaway here on the front stretch, and he's currently going to start his lap. So we're gonna go on board with him, and let's go through the lap here with Clint Halterman. As I said, it's a long down into turn 1, and that round, I'll call it around the fountain right here to turns 3 and 4. Down, it's another one, a right-hander down into turn 6, and it's a turn 7, a 90 right-hand turn once again, and it's a nice semi straightaway into a left-hander down into turn 8. Sorry, down into turn 7. And up the track he goes. He's going to have to make a wide arc. As you see how close he gets to the wall, he's going to have to that's part of street circuits, is how much of a limit you will have on the car in terms of putting it close to the edge of just a catastrophe. As he gets super close to the wall, as he dives into the corner. And once again, it just shows how much of a street circuit, the difficulty is, as it's going to be a U-turn right here. It's really I would call it one of the most tightest turns I've seen for this series, as Clint is going to cross the line, and he's currently tracking third. He has a nice 108.297, which currently Ryan Whitlock is in the provisional pole. As you see, they're on board of the University of Alabama Huntsville in that electric blue car. He is currently P1. Now, folks might be wondering, and maybe not be wondering, where is our Muhammad Alif? Well, he is currently on a nice vacation, and I should say, unfortunately, not in tonight's race. But I don't think you can count on yourself, unfortunately, to not be here. If you're going to be at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, that's right. So Alif not going to be here tonight. He is in attendance of the Formula One Grand Prix this weekend. So, positive vibes to him. Hopefully he has a great time over there. But I think the drivers here tonight are going to be absolutely enthralled that they're going to have a shot to win, as I heard driver chatter by Ryan Whitlock leading up to this race, and he was talking about a little bit of smack here and there, saying that he can finally have a chance to win, but he's going to have to go against Mr. Moody, Lucas Moody, currently tracking P2, and his Ball State teammate as well, Cale Davidson, who currently has yet to put in a lap time. So it is interesting, as Clint Halterman has made another improvement on his lap time in his second lap. He's got a 107.838, so the lap times are getting and Lucas Moody hits the wall. Unfortunately, I believe that is going to be the end of his qualifying. Yes, he was on lap 3, so that means no more attempts for him, unfortunately, as we're on board with Esteban Munoz of Florida International University. And as you saw, unfortunately, Lucas Moody hits the wall, and that's something that's going to be very interesting. And we saw this happen a lot, especially in the Chicago street course. And Belle Isle too. It's just, and Esteban Munoz, the same corner, I believe, that Lucas Moody hit the wall, but he's going to keep it going. I think he hit the wall perfectly on both ends, as like dispersing the energy right there. So he's going to try and still send it around the corner. Or maybe it was a little bit of iRacing, giving us a little bit of a delusion of thinking he hit the wall. But as he rounds about the final corner there, the U-bend, the hairpin, and he's going to currently tracking P7. So not a bad start for him, as let's see if he's going to get an improvement. and he does not. He's gonna keep his previous lap time of a 108.399. But as I was saying, it looks like as I was speak of the devil, Cale Davidson up into P2, a 107.621. So once again, it's going to be a Ryan Whitlock versus Cale Davidson versus Clint Halterman versus Lucas Moody. And you could say Jay Cummings, as he also just qualified up into P5. And speaking of coming up here shortly, Nick Stockner, one of our esteemed panelists, has gratefully lent us his time, and tonight he is going to be part of the booth. Nick, welcome to Cali. How was the trip here?
Well, I'll tell you what, I felt like a little bit like Matt going down the highway. I'm trying to catch Dynaco over here, but I got a little bit lost in Radiator Springs. But we're here now, here down in the city of Long Beach, following along with Mr. Cale Davidson. Now we're over here to Mr. Jake Cummings at a Converse University. Tracking here in P5, Mr. Sanchez. I mean, as he grinds to a halt there for some reason, but it's going to be an interesting race this evening. I see Cale Davidson has tracked himself to the pole. An interesting top three to start. In fact, interesting four there as we got Cale Davidson and Lucas Moody, two Ball State cars, sandwiching an Orange Rule Racing filling in the form of Ryan Whitlock and Clint Halterman in P2 and P3.
Yeah, and I really want to get your opinion on this, Nick, as a OWR, as being part of OWR, and tonight perhaps having a good chance for OWR win for the first time this season, as we know that Alif is not here tonight. He is at Las Vegas, and I've heard a lot of smacking talk between Ryan Whitlock and Kel Davidson. The idea that Alif is out, which means P1 is up for grabs, and Ryan has shown himself a lot of speed, and only 500th of a second off of Cale Davidson pace, and we know how competitive Ryan Whitlock is. And I did see him in the Chicago street course. He had a really great long pace, but unfortunately did not qualify up front as he wanted to. But tonight on the front row, I mean, what are you gauging at his chances for tonight?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to sound biased. I mean, if I had to
It's
give
okay.
my if I had to give my pick for the race, I was going to pick Mr. Whitlock himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I as a man who looks at the numbers, looks at the facts, Hale is an incredibly strong car. So I think for Ryan and even Clint or Lucas, I mean, oh boy, between the four of them, between 3/10 of a second, all huddled in a blanket together, I think really it's going to be a strategy game more than anything. And I like Ryan, I like his pace, but Cale has a lot of IRL experience around Indy cars. And I think that will also play to his advantage in the fact that he has probably a better sense of the strategy game. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, obviously anything can happen. I mean, heck, we've seen it in qualifying already. Very fast guys hitting the wall. With that being said, I mean, my pick is Ryan. I say advantage is Kale, but
Mm-hmm.
anything can happen.
I mean, for me, I would say that's a pretty good take right there. Sorry, I meant to click on the correct button right there. I accidentally pressed the buzzer sound. I wanted to implement that for the pre-race show. So apologies, Nick. I did not mean to put a big buzzer.
Oh,
Oh
that's all
man,
good.
I think I'm gonna lose my soundboard privileges. But anyway, folks, sorry about that. Meant to put a good ding. But yeah, you're right. I was actually gonna be my pick was gonna be Ryan Whitlock actually because I feel like he has a really strong chance tonight. He's performed really well on street circuits, but since you took my pick, I'm gonna have to pick someone else, and it's obviously not gonna be Cale Davidson. Nothing against Cale Davidson. Feel he's gonna be obviously a great contender, but I'm actually gonna pick instead Cohen Evans of Purdue University. He's currently tracking P6. He has a qualifying time of 108.2. But Cohen Evans also has really great street circuit pace. And unfortunately, I believe in the Chicago street course, he got hit, I think, in the first lap incident. So I believe he is going to do well tonight. If he gets to survive past lap one, I feel like he's going to be a contender for tonight. But as the qualifying has died down, it looks like we can go through the grid. All right, so let me stall some time for producer and Nick for tonight. 43 laps, compound swap. We'll be talking about more about the race, it's in of itself. But let's go through the grid. I'll take the first top 10. You can take the next 10. Cale Davidson in provisional pole for Boston University, a 107.501 on his outside. Joining him, it's Nick's pick, Ryan Whitlock of University of Alabama Huntsville, the number 81, only 500 seconds off from first place. So a competitive front row. And row number 2 on the inside in P3 is Clint Halterman of UNC Charlotte. And on the outside, it is Lucas Moody of Boston University in P4. MP5 Converse University. Jake Cummings starting pretty great, I would say. His usual streak of street circuits is not qualifying up front, so this is pretty good change of pace for him. And Cohen Evans, my pick of tonight for Purdue University, Indianapolis in P6. And row number 3 is going to be Ricky Paz of East Carolina University in P7. The FC director having a strong start tonight, and Ben Fiore on his outside for Marist College in P8. And rounding about our top 10 is Nick Henley, CILFC rookie for this year, a contender maybe for the rookie of the season. Boston University starting there right inside the top 10 with Esteban Munoz on his outside for Florida International University.
Take it away here in row 11 in row 6, P11. Andrew Burrell out of Clemson University will do his outside. Mr. Alexander Diamond out of Drexel University. P13, Marlo Duncan out of the Milwaukee School of Engineering, followed beside him Garrett Vighton and Arizona State University Machinery. P15, Dylan Beatty out of Ball State, and P16, Aiken Lamar, Iowa race winner out of Howard Community College. P17, Jason Wallet, self-proclaimed titan of the sport out of Drexel University. With P18, Wyatt Burton, front runner last week at Texas, but today in the back out of Indiana. P19, Andrew Voigt out of Penn State. Within P20, Troy Cammy out of New England College. And rounding out our field is the boomer himself, Alex Finnerty, in P21, 4.16 seconds off the pace. Now that man right there, he may have just taken it a little bit easy, but he is going to show some speed here in the race, I'm sure. As we have a fastest lap in the warm-up there for you, Dylan Beatty coming up with a 109.647. 2 minutes left in this warm-up. Lots of action to occur. Mr. Sanchez, how exactly are you thinking this first lap is going to go, knowing the history of street circuits in this series, where the first lap is hectic?
Well, as someone who is always interested and engaged in always every race of the series, it's always one thing to note is obviously hoping for a clean start. And of course, it's like they say, let's get the show on the road, and that means hopefully surviving turn 1, having a big one, because then we'll have a caution, we'll have a safety car out, and we're gonna have to try it all over again, and we'll have to pace slowly. What I really want is well, obviously have them survive turn 1, but also tire management is going to be a must here. From what I've heard, it's going to be a lot on the rears, and especially on the left front from what I've heard, and on the circuit, and especially now that we have a tire compound swap. So a little bit of a contrast from last week's race that you were in, Nick, where there was no compound swap. You only had one tire compound for the race. Tonight we will be back with the compound swap. We have the primaries, the black Firestone tires, and we have the green sided wall tires. Those are, you could consider the alternates or the softs. So it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers are going to select as their starting tire, as we know that if you pick out the primaries, you're going to have a long race pace. However, that is going to be struggling on the short run, as drivers who would be on the opposite side of the strategy with those soft green tires, they're going to have the advantage of being able to I would say, bring those tires alive with the tire temps and have more grip. But You lose more grip over time, and especially with those softer compound. So it's going to be about, do you want to sacrifice track positions, or do you need to gain track positions, or do you need to defend up in the lead? It all comes down to what the drivers choose as the warm up has now concluded. So, Nick, uh, I wanted to ask, do you over and under? I mean, we can't bet here, but what do you think are the chances that we'll get a turn one incident, especially on a track like Long Beach where we have a heavy left hander?
Well, the Stockner Sportsbook has basically said they're not even going to call odds for this. I mean, a turn one incident is pretty much almost guaranteed. Now, this is not to detract from the grand scheme of our total collective racing skill in this series. Don't get us wrong. But the professionals even do it. So if the professionals can do it, surely we can too. I think about maybe 2 to 3 cars are probably going to get involved in a turn one incident of sort. And if they don't, they will have proven me wrong, and I will gladly admit it on the air.
I would too as well. Now that the drivers are now getting into their cockpit and they're slowly now appearing in line behind the pace car. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how many cars really, if you think about it, 21 car field, it's not a lot, but it's certainly a good healthy amount for a street circuit that you would think we could go hopefully green all the way and not have too many issues. As I'm trying to get here on my stats, it looks like, I believe, all the top, okay, so the top 5 currently are on the soft alternate tires, on the green tires. Sorry, the top 6 are on those soft compound tires. It looks like Ricky Paz in P7 is the first one on a alternate strategy. So P7, it looks like he uh he has decided to go for the primary tires, and it looks like somebody did not get on pace lap. It looks like Ben Fiore, a little bit of an update as we have done our grid. It looks like Ben Fiore is going to be starting from the pits, as well as Garrett Viton. So those two drivers automatically locked to the back. So that means that if Ben Fiore is in the pits, that moves up Esteban Munoz to P8. Everybody on the outside moves up at least one row. So already an interesting start, you would say, Nick?
Well, I mean, for the P8 and P14 that Garrett Biden and Ben Fiore were in, it was probably going to be Calamity Row. So choosing to start from the pit, I mean, I'm not going to make fun of him for it. Now we head around the hairpin here. The pace car, he's going to peel in about 3 seconds here. He's peeled in. We have Cale Davidson at the lead, at the helm, ready to go, roaring and ready. Here he is, and he launches. We're go from the Long Beach Grand Prix here in FC. We're heading down to turn one. Cale Davidson takes a mighty fine lead. 3 wide behind. Here comes Ryan Whitlock. He's got Lucas Munoz outside, who's passed Glenn Holderman into turn one. We're side by side, 2 by 2 by 2, as we head down into the Fountain Edward, the only place in the track where you could confidently say you can't go too wide.
No, you cannot. It's really a lot of single file racing, you would say, and that's one thing that I really forgot to know in the pre-race show. It's going to be a lot of patience, you would say, right? There's only a couple of breaking points that you can really try and make a move onto the inside, but as you saw there, they quickly single file throughout that first turn. And Nick, I mean, I'm gonna have to give you $5 because you were on the spot. Only 2 cars involved at the end of turn one. And it looked like that was the cars. Oh, we got another incident in the back. It looks like Marlo Duncan has spun it around. Dylan Beatty has spun it around. As it looks like, wow.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and it looks like Garrett Viton steamrolled his way through and unfortunately got damaged there too. But yeah, so right now make that 4 cars counted in terms of getting involved in this race. Oh, in front of Garrett Viton, Dylan Beatty hits the wall again and he is out of this race. So in the back, there's currently 1 car now has went into the pit lane, so it looks like currently only 20 drivers out on the lap, out on the track, I should say. But yeah, as you said, Nick, it is currently single file racing up front, and honestly, it looks like everything is a little bit more tame as they all kind of decided to just fall into line.
Well, I mean, the lead pack of this field is incredibly seasoned IndyCar racers. Most of them attempted the IndyCar RTP ladder. As we have more action going on in the back, I think that was Aiken Lamar. We have Wyatt Burton, who's already made up 8 spots. He takes to the inside and grabs the position away from, looks like, Espen Munoz. Here he comes through to the next corner. A snaking set of S's here makes that corner nice and well. Touch a little bit more too much curve for my liking, if you will. But here he comes through the backstretch here, waiting to get into another passing zone. It looks like he has taken at least a 1 to 2 car length advantage over the next car in line. I'm sorry, excuse me. That is Alexander Diamond at the Drexel University, who is under chase there from Andrew Burrell. But here's Clint Holtman. He's now chasing down Lucas Moody. Does he have anything for him? Is he using push to pass? Who even knows? But he's going there. Is he going? He's going. He's going. He's looking to the inside. And no, he has decided to be better about that. You know, a nice, calm, calculated move. You got 40 laps left in this race, Edward. I think, you know, a move on lap 3 would have been a little bit early.
I mean, it's definitely going to be, like I said, really a test of patience for these drivers. As you said, right, we're currently on lap 3. So we have 40 laps left, and I'm loving the level of aggression we have here tonight. But as you said, I mean, it's just one small mistake. Not only will it cost your race, but it will cause your other competitors' race, and it'll be over. And a lot of these drivers know that there's a good chance that they have a shot to win. And I mean, of course, not to glaze too hard, but Alif is not here tonight. But of course, we can't forget Kill Davidson up front, but only by a second, as we see him rounding about the final corner as he's going to take the front stretch. And that's the corner right there. That's going to be a lot, I would say, perhaps a lot of spinning out from Nick, because that is such a tight corner. I mean, your revs are all the way as low as it can be, and then when you're trying to get on the gas to quickly compensate, maybe to make a run down into the first turn, you might spin them. And that's what I mean by having those rear tires, trying to keep them on rails, trying to keep them level and cool off. As it looks like, speaking of someone cooling off, it looks like Lucas Moody decided to cool off from Ryan Whitlock. The gap now 2 seconds.
Indeed, indeed. It looks like he's, maybe if you could at least describe a little bit, he may be holding up Clint Halterman. He's definitely taking care of his stuff, and same thing with Mr. Whitlock in P2. It is probably safe to assume that he is saving his stuff, considering Cale Davidson is still ripping laps. He's ripping laps under a minute 8, which is a considerable pace, especially for how long they have to go. As Cale's used already 12 seconds of his push pass there. Couple drivers, Jake Cummings, Cohen Evans, and Ricky Paz, have not used a single bit of their push to passes. We look at Aiken Lamar here. He's passing. Oh, he's Burrell touched the wall. That's Andrew Burrell at Clemson University in the car ahead. He looks to have some wing damage. He does. He has an entire side of his wing gone, but he's still digging strong. He comes at a hairpin corner. Now here's the thing for the folks at home. Missing your front wing, what does it help? What does it hurt? Missing the front wing, well, actually helps your straight line pace. Why? Well, the wing isn't cutting through the air, causing drag. What does it hurt? Corners. This car doesn't always rely on its brakes to corner. It needs the fact that that wing is sloped and hitting the air to help the car brake and to help the car turn. Without that front wing, like Ryan Whitlock has a wing problem as well. He has a little bit of his wing gone, but he's up. That is big. That is huge for this race, Edward.
Yeah, I just was about to mention after that incident that we were watching with Andrew Burrow. Exactly, Ryan Whitlock hit the wall, I believe, down at the turn 4. I'm trying to see here, with my super duper binoculars. Oh no! It looks like it was right out of the fountain. He actually got hit by a lap car. It was a lap car. It looked like it's Robbie Hotchkiss. Robbie Hotchkiss, the number 82. He spun it out of the fountain. No, he didn't get going. He actually brake checked in front of Ryan Whitlock. Unfortunately, I believe Robbie was trying to go to the inside, allowing Ryan to take the outside preferred lane. And I believe it was just a bad judgment call. Robbie just kind of parked it there. And Ryan Whitlock, unfortunately, hit the back of him and sustained damage. And as you said, missing a piece of your front wing loses that downforce. Now, I hope... Oh, and he looks like he's going to do a little bit of lawn mowing. Oh, sorry, that's the replay. But yeah, right there. I mean, Nick, man, I mean, how would you feel if when a lap car just pulls something like that?
you want to say things that I probably shouldn't say on the air. That's exactly how you feel when a lap
Yeah.
car gets in your way. I feel for Mr. Whitlock. He lost a race in the CIL Cup Series this season due to a lap car getting in his way, and now you compound an opportunity tonight to win a race in FC, his home series, the series he knows so well, and it ends with a little bit of hurt. But here he comes. He dives to the inside. Oh, Lucas Moody hits the
No!
Holterman. Holy Jesus
No!
Christ! That
Oh
is a massive
no!
incident. Oh, and Holterman
No!
has wheel damage. His
No!
race is over.
Yeah,
Holterman's
and Ryan
race
hit the
is
wall.
over. Oh,
Clint's day is over. Ryan sustained damage. Even after that, he hit the wall, but he's still going. Oh man! And just before Nick, I mean, we're gonna check a replay right here, and I was just about to say, oh, Lucas getting off the wall, he couldn't do anything. He hits the wall, bounce off from it, and Clint just couldn't get there and just couldn't get
oh,
on
Colin
the
Evans
brakes in
too.
time. Oh, and yeah, it looks like Cohen Evans probably had to stop. I'm trying to see if he got a little bit of damage there. No, he was. Yeah, he did. He got front left damage on the back of Lucas Moody before Lucas had the opportunity to tow the car back into pit lane. I mean, it looks like a lot of the competitive cars in the top 7 are out of this race, Nick.
We have seen an evolution of this race occur just five
Huh.
laps into the event. Now, I'd like to get a view, if I could, of Lucas Moody's on board. I want to know what was he seeing out of his cockpit when he made that turn, and did he turn in on Mr. Whitlock, or did Whitlock go wide? They were very tight for such an early portion of this race. It'll also be interesting to see how the stewards noting that Mr. Whitlock had more than enough car alongside to declare himself the inside of the corner. He had the ability to dictate the line, and it just ended in absolute disaster. Several contending cars done for the day. Clint Holterman is in line. He's actually already won the alumni drivers title, but
Yep.
he was in contention for he was still in the running for P2 in the points overall. But that right now is still going to be a battle between Cale Davidson and Ryan Whitlock. But with all the damage that Mr. Whitlock has incurred, dare I say it, I'm already going to call it. This race is Cale Davidson's to lose.
Mm-hmm.
He just can't make a mistake because Whitlock is still dealing with that front wing damage, and I'm no mathematician, but I'm going to at least assume that that wing damage is worth about a second to a second and a half.
And I want to quickly mention, you said Clint Holtman about the alumni driver title, and we haven't said it on the air, but I'm glad that you mentioned it as an OWR. Congratulations to Clint Holtman. Unfortunately, not for tonight, but he officially clinched the alumni driver title as of last week's race, and we weren't able to talk about it on the air. But as we see right there, side by side battle, and it looks like Wyatt Burton hit the wall, or really he pinched. It looks like on the outside to his driver. That was not going to be a nice move there against Ange. It looks like, trying to see who that was. I believe that was Ben Fiore that got pushed into the wall there.
Indeed, that's what it looked like. Now, as we saw Wyatt Burton there, he's up to P6. Remember when I said at the beginning of the show, how's he going to handle now starting from the back instead of starting from the front of that oval race? Well, it looks like he's doing that quite nicely. From P18 to P6, a 12 position gain in just 10 laps. With that, if I do a little bit of interpolation here, that means he should have the lead in about 5 laps from now. Now, obviously, that may not just happen. But he's having a darn good run, if I say so myself. Now, we're on board with Esteban Munoz here. He is behind him. He's going up through the gears. Now he's back down on the brakes, hard into the braking zone there. Getting through the corner now. A little bit of wheel slippage there, a little bit of sliding. But interesting to note, Esteban Munoz started on the prime tire, not the option tire, if you will. Now, the main difference between the prime tire and the option tire, according to my notes and according to my sources and reports, the prime tire, these Blackwall tires right here, they tend to not really have much tire wear as far as like deg is concerned with the pace of your car. Uh, they are pretty much stagnant, but the option tire, the green sidewall tire, if you will, that tire has wear, but the wear, unlike at other circuits, has for some reason, according to data and statistics, not really been showing that much pace degradation, even to the point that while there is usually a period where the prime tire is quicker, it really is just wearing down to where the prime tire is a dead even, if not maybe a tenth or two faster. But that is very late into the run, so for these cars, it was probably the optimum strategy to take the prime tire first, get out ahead while you have all this attrition, while you have all of this carnage, and grab track position, because then you can just settle in knowing that when they have the option tire and they have the extra pace, they still have to find a way to get around you.
And getting around is definitely going to be really a complication for these drivers. And one person that's getting around just fine is Wyatt Byrne. Gotta highlight this man right here. And honestly, Nick, might be a little bit too quick for me to say, but I really want to say, for me, the CIL Rookie of the Season of this semester so far, it's got to be to that man of Wyatt Byrne. I mean, we saw him running up front at Texas. We saw him in other races pull off the most defensive move, especially in Interlagos, and it's just an incredible drive by him. But I do want to note, of course, it's just a spectacular show of force by him. But as you mentioned, Ryan Whitlock, with all the damage he's incurred, you think he'd be dropping off, fading like Lightning McQueen in Cars 3, but no, he's up front still in P2, and Jay Cummings just now slowly but surely gaining time on him. I mean, you think maybe losing that right front wing helped them out a little bit because he's just tracking only just a few, really 1 or 2 tenths off the lap pace of Cale Davidson, which is, as you mentioned earlier, Cale Davidson's race to lose, honestly, at this point. So if he does fumble the bag on this one, it's not going to be it's not going to be pretty great for him. And I just want to mention also the top 10 it's incredible top 10, I would say. I just wanted to quickly go through that. It's P1 Cale Davidson, P2 Ryan Whitlock, P3 Jay Cummings, P4 Cohen Evans, P5 Ricky Paz, and then outside of the top 5, you got Wyatt Burton in P6, who's currently he's on the attack of Ricky Paz. We might see a potential pass down in the front. Maybe not. He's a little bit too far back, but Wyatt Burton will soon get around Ricky Paz. And behind Wyatt, who we saw pass, is Esteban Munoz, Nick Henley in P8, Aiken Lamar P9, and Ben Fiore in P10. And I want to give my 2 cents on what happened. Also, Nick, in that contact between Ryan and Lucas, I do believe that Ryan was ahead of him in the apex. Now, did he cut the corner as much as he could? Not really, but you're right. He does dictate his racing line, and I believe Lucas kind of thought that he was gonna hold the inside a lot more, that he was gonna cut the apron as much, but probably having that right front wing missing loses a little bit of the downforce down into turn 1, which did not allow him to kind of enter in as loose as he intended. I think he entered in a little bit too tight. Lucas kind of probably thinking not. I would say he's probably predicted him a little bit tighter onto the wall. But as you said, it looked like, they both made contact. But I think it was an egregious netcode, to be honest. And unfortunate end for Lucas Moody on his run, as it could have been a podium, potentially a race win. And as we are on board with Ricky Paz, as I mentioned, the soon-to-be pass made by Wyatt Burns soon enough. And one thing to note, Nick, they're both on the same tire strategy. So it looks like Wyatt has definitely saved, or has a better tire saving than Ricky, as you said, he's up 12 positions. So it's incredible that this guy has in the pace that he's shown this semester.
It is indeed. Wyatt Burton, I've raced around him a little bit. I've had a few starts in this series this season. He's definitely been a force to be reckoned with. He knows what he's doing. He has great composure and pose behind the wheel. Most races than not. He knows what he has to handle right now. He's got to handle that tire temperature. Another thing that really comes into play, especially these street circuits, is you follow close behind the car. The car in front, Ricky Paz in this instance, he's getting relatively clean air. And when I say relatively clean air, I mean there's no particles, there's no dust, there's no rubber molecules flying through the air. This basically doesn't clog up the air. It allows that car, the brake ducts, tires to get relatively cool, clean air to keep the car in working condition. Wyatt Burton does not. Wyatt Burton basically feeding off the exhaust fumes of Ricky Paz right here. He's getting hot air. He's getting dust, rubber, you name it. He's getting that on the car. That's going in his brake ducts. That's sticking to his tires. It's sticking to his car. That is just warming, heating, roasting his equipment. He has to really play the strategy game well of, is he going to hurt his equipment trying to feed behind Ricky Paz, or is he going to play the smart game, continue to save his stuff, and just play the track position game, especially when we get ready for the pit cycle, which, according to my sources and statistics, that pit cycle is coming up within the next 10 to 15 laps.
And speaking of pit stops, I was about to throw you another wrench right there, Nick. If Wyatt Burton can't get around Ricky, who seems like at this point they've kind of been trading a few tenths here and there in the sectors. I mean, if I was Wyatt's pit crew, I would just tell him, get in now, underpit him, try to do the underpit and get ahead of him, because it looks like what Ricky's doing is, well, he's using a little bit of push to pass him to really, I guess, help out with his exit speed from out of the last corner down the front straightaway. But you see that, like, how much of a compromise he has going through the corners, and especially we saw back in the fountain. I call it the fountain loop. Around the fountain loop, you saw him kind of taking it really, really loose. The car just wants to oversnap on itself. So I feel like it's just a matter of time that Wyatt is just going to be held up behind Ricky's dirty air. And that causes, as you said, right, the tire temps. You got to keep it low, got to keep it comfortable, or else you're just going to overheat them and lose that grip quickly enough. And next thing you know, you're on the wall.
Indeed. Now, I'm going to put on my crew chief hat here for a second. I'm actually if I'm Wyatt Burton's crew chief, I'm telling him hit one lap after Ricky Paz does.
Oh, why?
In IndyCar, these tires do not have tire blankets. They come on the car ice cold, and that's relative terms. They are warm to the touch, but ice cold meaning those tires don't have grip. They don't have any way to really stick to the road. That car is going to be slipping and sliding around. Your outlap on those tires when you change them is going to be abysmal, poor if you will. If I'm Wyatt Burton, the moment Ricky Paz gets in there, I'm using some of my push to pass. I'm basically telling myself, it is time to go. It is time for a hammer time style of lap. Get that last lap in on those tires and get as far ahead as possible. Because then you'll have clean air, and you'll have the opportunity to have one lap where you can go balls to the wall, hard on the hammer, and then send it into pit road, and hopefully, in the optimal world, have about an 8/10 to a whole second advantage on the car ahead.
And once again, through the fountain section, and not to digress what you're saying, but I mean, look at this battle. Yet again, Wyatt Burton on the back bumper of Ricky Paz, but not able to do nothing much, as once again, Ricky gets on the gas quick enough to try to compensate his exit speed. But I mean, I'm looking at the lines that Wyatt's taking a lot more tighter. He tries to straighten out the car more, less of trying to really arc out of the corner wide and having to steer more out of each right-hander, left-hander. So I mean, like, I'll take your pit crew take and say, yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be more of an advantage, especially on this track, I mean, Wyatt Burton has to really play his in lap perfectly. As a little bit of a lockup there into the final corner, but but we're also focused here on Ryan Whitlock, and I mean, Whitlock, as you saw, he just had an incident on the track. I'm trying to look back where exactly. I believe it was we're gonna get a replay right there, and look at that. He just spins it out. I mean, was it? Oh, he missed the corner. He just decided to take the easy way out and not be able to hit the wall, and he kept the car going. So Nick, is that a smart call by him right there?
Yes, very, very smart call. He's using the runoff, the access road to just, justifiably say, my race isn't over, but I'm going to concede. The science behind that really just is that the front wing damage, it's just affecting his ability to brake for corners. The car can't get slowed down, and he has run those option tires for now 20 laps of this race. The tires are worn. They're torn apart really, and for Ryan in this instance, as now he heads to pit road. He has said he's had enough. He wants the new tire. He wants the fresh prime tires. That's going to send him down a couple spots. This is going to be an interesting call here for Mr. Whitlock, because also with that estimated amount of wing damage, that's going to be around 5 to 6 seconds. If he has any additional damage on top of that, it makes it even longer. He is now in the pit lane. An optimal pit stop is 7.6 seconds. Let's see how long he takes here. He's up to 10, 11, 12, 13 seconds, 13.5, just as I called it, 6.5 seconds of damage repair. That is to replace the front wing. He's back out on the circuit. It seems like the front wing damage was the only damage that he was willing to repair. Down in P11, but on the freshest tires in the field, with 131 seconds of push to pass left in his arsenal, and everybody else to pit. If I was my best guess right now, he will end up coming out around P4.
P11.
Well, he came out P11, but he once the pit cycle occurs, he will finish up around P4.
Oh, of course. Oh, right. Yes, he would be around P4, but I mean, it all depends, right? We'll see if Cohen Evans and Jake Cummings take their time to go into pit road, because remember, they're still on those fresh soft tires, so maybe they're gonna try and. I mean, it's like you said, right? Pit window is now open, so if you're gonna go in, you're definitely gonna be stretching it on fuel with 23 laps to I would say, yeah, 23 laps to the end for Ryan Whitlock. So everyone else staying out more. But I mean, hear me out, Nick. If now that he has a brand new wing, and hopefully he doesn't mess up again, he was really only 20 seconds behind Cale Davidson. Do you think he has a shot to maybe get up there?
He needs some help, and he needs a lot of it. The big help comes in the fact that Cale Davidson's already used over half of his push to pass, and Mr. Whitlock has only used about 70 seconds of it. But he just needs a lot of help. He's gonna need some attrition. He's gonna need some people banging doors, banging fenders, and that's gonna be hard to ask for this series. Now he's catching up to Jason Wallet at a quick rate. He's gone from 3 seconds back to down to just less than a second. And I believe another car just peeled into the pit lane that looked to be Aiken Lamar, Iowa race winner. He is now in the pit lane. He is going in for his service. I believe, according to reports, he started on the prime. He's going to go to the option tire. We'll wait and see. But another thing about this push to pass, which gives you an additional little boost, most cars have started to touch their push to pass, at least for the cars that have been out in the field. But there's one car who's running up near the front who hasn't touched it at all, and that is Mr. Cohen Evans, sitting there in P3. He hasn't touched it, but we got a three-way battle right now. We got Mr. Burrow, Andrew Burrow, still dealing with that wing damage on the option tire. He's ahead of Titan Sport Jason Wallet. And then there in P10 is Ryan Whitlock. P10, how did he gain a spot without passing anybody? Aiken Lamar went to pit lane. But here he comes. He's going to look to the outside now. Does he have it alongside? Yes, he does. Does he? Yes, he gets to the inside. And oof. Jason Wallet just concedes a simple concession. That is probably worth it more than he realizes. But here comes Ryan Whitlock now. He's up into P9. He has a teammate ahead in the form of Andrew Burrow in P8. I do believe that spot will not be as contested. Oh, Burrow!
Tire lockup.
He just locked them all, but now he peels off to the side. He's going to head to pit lane. Another car in the pits. Is that Jake Cummings or is that Cale Davidson? That is Mr. Davidson.
That's Cale Davidson, and I want to say that Cale Davidson was behind Ryan Whitlock. after his pit stop. So Whitlock, we could kind of gauge the distance now. So Cale Davidson was nearly a second behind Ryan Whitlock, almost lapping him. So Whitlock now tracking P7, and we also cannot digress. The pass that Ben Fiore for Marist College, he made a pass on Nick Henley a while back, and has pulled away now by 10 seconds. So Ben Fiore with 22 lappable tires have pulled away really great against Nick Henley, but right now Nick Henley has went into the pits. We saw one of the Ball State drivers go in and get those fresh tires, but I mean, Nick, with Ryan getting held up by Jason Wallet and Andrew Burrow for like at least a lap and a half, that's not ideal, especially for those tires, because he would like a lot of clean air, which he has now, but that starting run was a little bit of a nerve wracking for him. Would you say?
It was definitely questionable. We're going to see it here now that Wyatt Burton, he was in the pit lane. Where does he come out in all of this? Because that is going to be a hotly contested car. If Ryan Whitlock stands a chance to get around him, there's Burton. He's coming out of the pit lane. There's Mr. Whitlock. Whitlock goes through. That's an easy pass for Mr. Whitlock up to P6.
That's like stealing candy from a baby. I mean, Whitlock definitely had a great. Well, he has the tire temps up to his standards that he likes, and Wyatt Burton, he's gonna have to now try to bring those Firestone tires into life, and I believe right now he is on the soft. He's on the alternate. So right now we're on lap 24, so we've got 20 laps to the end, and we know how much pace Wyatt Burton has, and I'm on board with him here. And he is hitting the wall left and right. And we got another car in the pits. That is a 94 for Howard Community College. Aiken Lamar, he's going to pit in. I believe he is going from the hard. Yeah, he's going from the primaries to the alternate. So he's going to do that compound tire swap there. Oh, no, sorry. He went from the softs to the hards. So now he is on those primaries. And as you see there, he is going to start right behind Andrew Burrows. So the battle for 10th is going to be on for Andrew Burrow for Clemson. He's going to have to hold off a hard and charging Howard Community College. And we're on board with Wyatt Burton. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Now that this guy has those softer alternates, he's going to be a force to reckon with now that he's behind Jason Wallet. And Jason Wallet, he is 25 lap tires. 24 lap old tires. So he's still holding out on those tires. I mean, is he hoping for a caution, you think, Nick?
That it's hard to gauge, really. I don't really know. Jason Wallet in the community is known for some outlandish pit strategies, this included. If I was his crew chief, I'd just be screaming, crying, quitting, probably going home. Those tires have been begging, but he's still out there trying. It should be noted that, the top 8 cars are all students. We got a 3-way battle for that alumni victory between P9 and 11 right now. The Boomer himself, Alex Finnerty, he started dead last, by the way. He's up in P9. The man's been doing it just like Jason Wall. I'm going to call him out here. 25 laps now, going on lap 26 of running on the same set of tires. Now he is in the Orange Wheel Racing paddock. He's going to get a stern talking to after this race. How on earth are you letting 26 laps on your tires, sir?
Not 25.
25 laps. Sorry, he's working on lap 26. As Cohen Evans finally enters the pits, he did 25 laps on prime tires, not the option tire. That's even worse. As Cale just takes it back with ease. I mean, that was a questionable pit selection, to say the least. He's back in the lead, and I mean, if I do say so myself, bar a tragic incident.
Well, I was gonna say, right, Nick. He's gonna. I mean, I'm tempted to give him the worst commentary curse ever, but honestly, I feel like this is his race to lose. And I gotta note that Ball State paint scheme, that purple paint scheme you see right there, how's the view that says on the back of his spoiler? You gotta say it looks really nice for tonight's race, so gotta give props to him. But gotta give props also to Alex Trinity. And I know you said you probably give him a stern talk after this race, but listen, he just pitted in, and so he officially 26 lap old tires for Alex. And I gotta say, to be honest, as much as it is an interesting tire strategy, you may say, he, as you said, from P21 from last up to P9, you got to say Alex had a great tire saving. He pitted in only 2 seconds behind Jason Wallace, so he was gaining a lot of time on Jason Wallace. I feel like Jason and Alex was on two sides of a coin in terms of tire saving. So now that as Trinity, he is on those soft compound tires. He's going to currently, I believe, when he leaves pit road, he's going to actually be in front of Andrew Burrow potentially as they're side by side down at the turn one. Oh, and it was a close call, but Andrew Burrow was able to edge out in front of Alex for P9. But it looks like, yeah, so now the battle is on as it's going to be Andrew and Alex for that alumni winning spot of tonight. But as we're on board with Ryan Whitlock with those fresh wing, and it looks like he is now currently trying to get into the podium once again as Cohen Evans under the attack. And just reminder for folks, Ryan is on 8-lap-old tires. Cohen Evans, he pitted in a lap and a half ago. So you could say that Ryan has a current advantage, but Nick, for how long as Cohen Evans is struggling to get those tires alive?
Well, that's really the note that I mentioned earlier about these prime tires. They don't really dag. The tire itself, it's going to change temperature, but as the tire gets warmer, it just gets grippier. The deg isn't there. Ryan's pace is pretty much going to stay the same for the rest of this run. Cohen's got to get up to pace, but Ryan has a fresh car. There's Jason Wallet. Now, keep in mind, when Ryan pitted, he was right behind Wallet. Now he's getting ready to lap him. He is on a tear and looking for that podium position. This is an incredible show of pace and determination out of that University of Alabama and Huntsville machine. And to be in P4 right now and just hounding Cohen Evans. Now, also got to keep in mind, I said earlier, Cohen Evans hasn't touched that push-to-pass button. He better start touching it now because he's got a man who is on a mission right behind him.
See, that's one of my, I would say, as a cat's out of the bag moment for Cohen Evans. Reason I pick for him is just he never really uses his push to pass. He is always very conservative of using it, and now we see him finally use it now as we see the timer on the left side on the scoring pylon. Yeah, like it's 185 seconds, and the second most right now is in front of him with Jay Cummings is 144, but you're right, Whitlock with 50 seconds of push to pass. Now he's trying to use it right now as both of them are, well, no, Whitlock on the push to pass, down in the front stretch, maybe trying to make a move on the Purdue University machine, and it looks like he's a little bit too far out, but I think Cohen Evans knows. And another fast lap by Ben Fiore, 1:07.8. Ben Fiore, I've been watching him getting in those purple sectors, but Nick, do you think Ryan is just, he's being a little bit desperate here? He thinks that he has to get around him as soon as he can because he has that tire deficit or advantage, I would say, in terms of being on the track more than Cohen Evans. But as Cohen Evans getting those tire temps up and running, he's gonna slowly be able to probably put the stomp on Ryan Whitlock and not be able to make the pass on him soon enough.
It's hard to tell. Being a teammate and being with Ryan Whitlock for so long, it's hard to gauge without actually being alongside him in a car, but it's either one or two. He's incredibly determined. He realizes he's made a mistake. His race is pretty much ruined in terms of chance of victory, but he is still determined to put himself in position to where Cale Davidson's advantage over him for P2 in the championship is not as large heading into the final round of COTA next week. Now, it could be a little bit of desperation, and for the same reason. He's put himself in this position. He knows he is better than this, and so he's just desperately trying to show it. But, you know, he's put the car in the proper position where it stands. As you see, Cohen Evans with 176 seconds compared to Ryan Whitlock's 40 seconds left of push pass. When you do the math, ladies and gentlemen, that's 134 seconds. 2 whole more minutes of push to pass inside the reserve tanks of car 17 compared to car 81, and a third member about to join the party shortly. That's Ricky Paz behind in P5.
Yeah, and definitely one thing to know, now that we're in lap 32 out of 43, we are now 12 laps to go here at in the Long Beach Grand Prix. And I do want to mention, while right, you're right in terms of Ryan Whitlock not having a good chance to get a win. I mean, Kel Davison just has to fumble the bag so hard that it's just astronomically impossible for that to happen. But I do want to note, in terms of the winner for the race, but the alumni winner, and I think you'll be happy with this, Nick. We might have a first time. Well, obviously now that Clint's out of the race, we'll have a new alumni winner tonight, and potentially towards your school, Nick, for Clemson University, as Andrew Burrow has now pulled away from Alex Trinity. So it's going to be perhaps a first, I would say, a first Clemson alumni winner or driver winner for the season.
Couldn't be happier for Mr. Andrew Burrow. I want to shout out a regular viewer of the broadcast. Andrew Burrow's grandmother is a frequent viewer of this broadcast, frequent viewer of all his broadcasts. And we don't talk about Burrow a lot unless he's wrecking. And we unfortunately have to, because he's just got some really bad luck. But tonight could be the night. The Lord has shined upon this man. He's in P8. And yes, he's 46 seconds behind P7, but that doesn't matter. The race for him is between him and Aiken Lamar, who is the only other alumni close by, and he's 2.9 seconds behind. As we still look at Ryan Whitlock, I don't believe he was using more push to pass there, but he's hounding Cohen Evans like a dog right now, because just right behind Ryan Whitlock, he's snaking more and more into picture. Ricky Paz in P5. He's got the prime tire, or the option tire, not the prime tire. But Ricky Paz is in a position right now. He still has some laps where that tire is theoretically faster than the prime tire that both Cohen Evans and Ryan Whitlock are. In the wall! That's Cohen Evans in the wall!
No.
Here comes Ryan Whitlock. He's side by side. Drag race. Does he last in the late breakers? Yes, he does. So goes Ricky Paz. Through goes Paz. He's up in the P4.
Now, it definitely is something that Ricky can definitely take advantage of right here, is with those soft, and you said, oh no! Oh no, a little bit of commentator's curse. Nick, just as I was about to compliment him and say he has a good chance down into turn one, but still, side by side, I don't think he's going to give it up. He's got push to pass on. No, Cohen Evans has push to pass on. Oh, and a little bit of a snaking. I don't know. That's a little bit borderline. And Ricky Paz is going to have to settle in again into P5. I mean, through goes Paz and falling back again. I mean, that was shades of Lewis Hamilton 2022. As you saw a beautiful pass, taking advantage of the opportunity, but unfortunately, it looks like he just I would say, unfortunately, got on the gas a little bit too quickly out of that last corner, and he had to give up that spot again. But I mean, Ryan Whitlock in podium position. Who would have thought, Nick?
Well, you know that the man, as I said, it's a little bit of determination, it's a little bit of desperation, but the man has a man in a moment on the mission. He's currently in P3. He's got 7.9 seconds to make up, and mind you, he's catching the man. He got 8 laps to do it. He's got some push to pass left in the reserve tank, and Jake Cummings is only getting farther behind. That is a battle that could occur here in the last few laps, or Ryan just has to get on it. But meanwhile, Ricky Paz is back down into P5 again after that, just an interesting debacle, really, of just lighting up the tires. Behind him is Wyatt Burton in P6, and then Ben Fiore is far behind in P7. That's not really much of no. Aiken Lamar back in the pits again for an undisclosed reason.
Damage. He wrecked out.
Damage, according to reports, it's damage. As you can see, that pit stop timer is just going on and on and on and on and on.
He wrecked into turn one. He so it looks like he missed his braking spot. He locked up the left front, and it sent him straight into the Acura tire barrier. And unfortunately, it is going to be the end of the day. Oh, it looks like he also broke the right tire toe length. So it looks like Aiken Lamar is out of this race, which, I mean, that means we only have 12 drivers on the track, as Alexander Diamond, he is currently the last car in P13, currently 6 laps down. But if he still goes at this pace, means Aiken Lamar, the worst spot he will get tonight is going to be P13. But speaking of spots, Cohen Evans in P4 behind him, Ricky Paz. But behind Ricky Paz, I got to mention for your, I would say most definitely a weekly update right there, folks, on your screen is Wyatt Burton. I mean, we saw him going through the field, and now he is currently behind this, you could call this a DRS train, as Ricky Paz trying to make any moves on Cohen Evans. But we saw Cohen Evans, his push to pass bank, it is full of money, you would say.
It is. He's definitely cashed his checks. He's put them in the bank, and he's got some interest. Wyatt Burton up in P6 there. Now we're going to take a look at Jason Waller. He's right behind Alex Finnerty up there in P9. Both are on the option tire. And, oh, it's a lot of curbing for my liking, if you will. He's going to come right down this straightaway here. No push to pass being used just yet. But you saw Finnerty. He had a much better exit. But Waller just has a much better turn in, carrying speed through these corners. It just looks like he's got a lot better turn in, a lot worse drive off. That's where Finnerty's really winning. And the two major passing zones require drive off in the corner before Jason Waller can get there. He just can't get around him.
Well, you know who's definitely enjoying this battle? The guy who's in front in P8, that's Andrew Burrow. He knows that those two are going to be squabbling for position, so Andrew Burrow's chance for Alumni Driver tonight looking ever so much better. And who's also looking so much better is Ricky Paz. He's trying to make I guess, trying to intimidate Cohen Evans the same way you would say that Ryan Whitlock intimidated Cohen Evans a few laps ago. As you saw when Cohen Evans hits the wall and Ryan Whitlock took advantage of it, maybe Ricky is kind of thinking the same thing, as in, let me do the same thing Cohen Evans, let me do the same thing that Ryan Whitlock did, and it's to try and intimidate, show the nose in places that he thinks you wouldn't put it in, hope for a mistake, and take advantage of it. I mean, Nick, could you think that's the possibility going through here?
Of course. I mean, you know, every advantage is attempted to be taken here for Ricky Paz. He's got to look at something. Now he's down to those last 5 laps. Knowing him, he's got a lot of moves left in his arsenal probably. Don't know how much push to pass is actually left in that car. But something to note for these guys, that's Burrell in P8, and these guys are on the lead lap in P4 and 5. 7 cars, only 7 cars of this 21-car field are going to finish on the lead lap. That is quite the race of attrition.
I just want to say, I got a funny driver. Oh, and it looks like Andrew Burrow finally blue flag. He's gonna let them pass by, but yeah, that was something funny where Ricky went on the radio and into the inside, and Cohen Evans decides to let him by. And right as I was gonna say, he went on the driver radio and he's asked nicely, "Can you please let me by?" with both fingers pointed together, hoping for a resolution here. And I think Cohen Evans realized that his tires were spinning too much. He was really wasting too much of his rears on trying to defend against Ricky. So I think Cohen Evans is gonna probably say, you know what, let him have it. He has a lot of push to pass to overcompensate on the straight, so he can cool down the tires now, give himself his space, give himself kind of mentally reset himself as Ricky now up into P4. And speaking of 4, we have 494 subscribers. So folks, if you want to be that 500 subscriber, get your grandma, your grandpa, your mom, your pop's phone, your siblings, your nephews, your nieces, your cousins, and subscribe to the Collegiate iRacing League. We are close to 500 subscribers. Nick, are you excited about that?
Of course I am. You know, being involved in the CIL for as long as I have, it is exciting to see this place of just where we allow come one, come all. You're welcome to race here. It is a great sight to see, and it's a great sight to see that a following is established and is growing by the day. I checked this morning on that YouTube channel. It was at 493 to see the FC race growing a subscriber in that race. Man, that's just a heartwarming sight to see. Kind of like it's heartwarming to see Andrew Burrell in P8. Now, I don't know if his grandmother's watching. I don't have the YouTube stream up, but rest assured, Burrell family, if you are watching, and he's going to win the alumni race, his first ever win of any kind in his
Ooh.
8-season CIL career. I'll give him one hell of a call. He deserves it.
You're definitely leading that one. You're definitely leading that call, definitely.
for certain, but the call to lead first. The man is now leading by almost half a minute. Cale Davidson in P1. He's had control of this race, a Leaf-esque, if you will. He's just had it from the get-go, using his knowledge and just ability behind the wheel of an Indy car. This race is more than certain. It's going to take a major commentator's curse to ruin his chances of winning this race. Hi, Mom, on the roll bar there for Cale Davidson. Hello, Mrs. Davidson. How are you this evening? Your boy, he's about to win a race of his own.
Well, the clock is ticking as the leader is now taking the final corner around the U-bend as he's going down the front straightaway. It is going to be 2 laps to go here at the Long Beach circuit for the round 13 of the CILFC. And yeah, I really want to say it is going to be a really great milestone for this community to reach 500 subscribers. And Nick, I gotta say, I wanted to let you know that in terms of the CILFC growing in numbers, we also had the most gained subscribers in a live stream. We gained 10 subscribers last week at Texas when you were racing in it. So maybe you should have raced in this one. We could have gone another 10 subscribers. And speaking of gaining, Wyatt Burton gaining on Cohen Evans. Could we see a last-minute pass on the push to pass? Wyatt Burton is on the front straightaway. He's going to try and get a nice toe down the front straightaway and try to gain on Cohen Evans. But we know Cohen Evans, he's deposited a lot for his final few laps here of push to pass. And the leader is currently taking the final corners here. And it's going to be a white flag out soon. But, I mean, Nick, do you think last lap pass opportunity for Wyatt Burton?
It's very possible. He's got a little bit of tire advantage left. Maybe he saved a little bit of that tire. He's sliding those rears around though, drifting it like Doc Hudson. Go right to turn right to go left. But he's definitely hanging it out there. He's having a good run. If all else fails, a 12th position gain from start to finish, that's just a success story in of its own. But I think we need to go to the leader of this race, the man who has led every single lap. He starts down the backstretch for the final time. How's the view? I'll tell you, Cale, it is beautiful.
Well,
there
Nick,
we go.
Nick, I gotta mention, Burrow's Nana is in the chat. So confirmation from her, Burrow's Nana is here and getting ready to watch. But as you were saying, Nick, Cale Davidson down the final few corners here as he's gonna take the final U-bend of the night. As Ball State University, they missed out of a Leaf tonight, but the runner-up, who's always been there, you could say in a Leaf shadow, finally is going to sprout his wing as Cale Davidson is gonna win the Long Beach Grand Circuit, and he's gonna be the CILFC Round 13 winner for tonight.
We head on over to Andrew Burrell. He is the only other man in contention for a win. Cale Davidson has taken the win for student, and overall, we look at Wyatt Burton and Cohen Evans ahead. One of the last passing opportunities available. Wyatt Burton's not going to be enough. We head back over to Andrew Burrell. He's currently sitting in the 8th position. He heads around the final bend. A man who has had more than his fair share of bad luck over the past 8 seasons. He comes around the last corner. Burrow family, your little boy has done it. He has won a something in the CIL, an alumni division victory in the Long Beach Grand Prix. I'm choking up as I'm saying it. I don't know how to say it. He's finally done it.
He's finally done it.
Burrow, after over 100 starts, can say he's won something in the CIL. That is something not many people get the privilege of saying. It's 8th on the track, but it's 1st in our hearts. Alumni winner. He gets an interview tonight.
Yes, he is. Look at that. Say,
Burrow.
right there, Nick. Say the title.
CIL Long Beach Grand Prix alumni winner, man of the Clemson University himself, Mr. Andrew Burrow. What a show, what a day, what a moment.
I gotta mention someone from the chat. Cheryl Byrne says, "How about 12 position gain for Wyatt Byrne, the number 26 for Tryon University, and Cale Davidson doing donuts at the fountain, and he's gonna make his mark there, and as he should. The purple blue Ball State has really outdone himself tonight as he won by 26 seconds." And as you see, Andrew Burrow also doing donuts at the far end of the track. So not only Cale Davidson taking part in the festives, Andrew Burrow on the front stretch, currently about to start doing donuts. I think, yes, he will. But right there, folks, we gotta give our shout outs to him. Cale Davidson, the CIL Long Beach Grand Prix overall winner, and really the winner of tonight. But Nick said it best. Andrew Burrow, winner in our hearts. I mean, he's been a veteran for I don't know how many years. Nick, you know the stats better than me, but to finally win, as you said, win something, but be the alumni winner. I mean, Nick, I can only imagine how emotional it will be later when we get Andrew Burrow up here in the booth. But in the meantime, before we get there, let's go over the grid here as it is currently I'm gonna say only 7 drivers finished on the lead lap, but we know who won first as we're gonna get the grid here in a few moments. As Cale Davidson, Ball State University, repping and I would say, let's say I'm gonna say this, replacing a Lee for the win tonight, and he's gonna be proud with that. 26 seconds in front of the number 2 runner-up, Jay Cummings for Converse University. A strong drive for him. So we'll see him later in the booth with Ryan Whitlock, who Nick, you said it. A strong attrition tonight. The level of determination is just unmatched for him tonight for University of Alabama Huntsville. That electric blue machine in the podium spot. Ricky Paz just one position short, and I would say this is his best finishing position in the CILFC so far of the season for East Carolina University. A nice finish for him in P4. Cohen Evans in P5 for Purdue University of Indianapolis. P6 of Wyatt Burton, as Cheryl said in the chat, 12 positions gained, a great drive for Tryon University. Ben Fiore, Marist College, and P7. Andrew Burrow, our alumni winner for Clemson University, and P8, Alex Trinity of UNC Charlotte, and P9, runner-up against him. So we had a great alumni drive, and Nick Henley and P10 for Ball State University, rounding about our top 10.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. We move on to P11 as Jason Wall out of Drexel University, followed behind by his teammate Alexander Diamond, P12 out of Drexel. P13, Aiken Lamar out of Howard Community College, with P14, Andrew Voigt out of Penn State. We're now heading into the cars that eventually retired with damage. P15, Esteban Munoz out of Florida International. P16, Lucas Moody of Ball State. P17, Clint Halterman involved in that massive incident there with Lucas Moody ahead of him in P17 at UNC Charlotte. P18, Marlo Duncan out of Milwaukee School of Engineering, and P19, Troy Cammy out of New England College. P20, Garrett Vighton out of Arizona State University, and P21, rounding out our field, Dylan Beatty out of Ball State University. Ball State University bookending the field, P1 and P21.
First and last. I mean, that's dominance right there, right?
It is dominance at the highest degree.
Well, I think the drivers are in the interview waiting room, and well, let's save the best for last. So we're gonna have a talk with Andrew Burrow at the end as our alumni winner. But I mean, Nick, I'll give you the honor. Who do you want to start with, the first place guy or the third place?
Let's start with third.
All right, we're gonna bring up, and I believe that is Ryan Whitlock, and you can start off here. Ryan Whitlock, welcome to the booth. Nick, take us away.
Mr. Whitlock, welcome to the show. I know that this is probably not what you wanted, but at the end of the day, it is a result well deserved after a persevering and determined drive. Take us through the mindset after the damage from the lap car.
Well, I mean, any day where you're complaining about a podium, you must be having a pretty good season. But yeah, I had damage after a frankly unexplainable decision by a lapped car where I took a trip to the flower bed, and Lucas made a move into the hairpin, which I think was fair. I was upset about it at the time, but I think it was fair, and I felt like I was within my right to fight that back. Because if I lay over and let himself and Clint by, they sail off into the distance, and I pit, repair my car, and have a harder task ahead of me trying to catch them again. So don't regret that. Just very upset. I mean, Kale's a buddy of mine. I was hoping to race him for a win, and honestly, the disappointing part is I looked at our relatives for the last few laps once my car was fixed and we were all on blacks, and I was catching him. Um, but any day where you're complaining about a podium really wasn't that bad of a day. So
Yeah, you hate to see it, Ryan. I was looking at the timesheets. I was about to. Well, I didn't want to really bring it up, but you brought it up. But man, oh man, I mean, I know how disappointing, especially when a lap car affects your run. But could you also say, things don't come easy, and for you to work so hard to get up to the podium? I mean, could you consider yourself proud with all the efforts you did tonight? Because that was an amazing drive, and Nick said it earlier. Just the level of determination was unmatched tonight.
yeah, well, I mean, I guess the amount of practice and the amount of work I put in ultimately did not go to fighting for the win, but I would not have gotten a podium in those circumstances if I didn't put in the practice that I did. So, I mean, decent run. This track is extremely fun to lap. It just sucks that I ended two people's races because of netcode, 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 netcode,
Hmm.
netcode, netcode, netcode. That's been this season for me. But yeah, fun track, decent result. It just sucks that a lapped car had championship implications.
Championship implications, indeed. Oh, we should have said that, Nick, on the broadcast. That would have been great to say that. But
Mhm.
championship implications, indeed. But Ryan, I mean, apart from shouting out netcode, anyone else you want to shout out tonight before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to shout out Kale. I mean, he's basically wrapped up P2 in the championship, but he's a great guy, and I'll just give him a punch in the arm next time I see him at an IndyCar race or something. Um, Shout out Charger Motorsports, B2 Motorsports, MTR, just the people who support our racing team, Blue Origin. We're not just a sim racing team, we're a real racing team. We're going autocrossing this weekend with our affectionately named Turd Nissan Sentra. So that's going to be a good way to get my mind off of tonight is driving that hunk of junk. It's probably going to understeer even more than my Indy car did without a front wing. So don't know how that's possible, but that car manages it. Yeah, just got to shout out all those guys and Orange Wheel Racing for
Well,
being fun to race with.
Well, you better tell us your tales after that. Well, that is going to be a P3 Ryan Whitlock, a great drive back up top. Congratulations, and see you next week for sorry, see you in 2 weeks when we have our final race of the season.
Thanks. Bye.
And folks, that was Ryan Whitlock, and you could just hear Nick. I feel for him so much. Like you heard the disappointment in his voice, right?
It's there, and it's hard to really find words to describe. But I echo his sentiment. For a driver of his caliber,
Of course.
he's complaining about a podium. That means he's had a really a really darn good season. This man is. If there was a podium of cars this season, he's usually on it, and he finds his way on there again. Just it's with a driver like our Muhammad Alif not being here, it was an opportunity to put himself in the history books as he won a race. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately for him, especially since last week, he lost Texas by less than 200ths of a second.
Oof.
This
Yeah.
this race, it's just another kick in the teeth for Ryan Whitlock, and he's got to be thinking to himself, when does it end? And buddy, I really don't know when it does. I mean, I haven't won a race in CIL, and I'm still hunting, and I've been here for 8 seasons. So, you and me both, brother. We're still working on it.
Well, speaking of when does it come to an end, we're gonna Start out with Jay Cummings here for P2. Let's bring him up here in the booth. Jay Cummings for Converse University and P2. Almost, almost, I would say, about to lose out to Ryan Whitlock for P2 as he was gaining time to you towards the end. Jake, I mean, you saw that was a close call there down to turn one in that in the fountain section. You saw the incident happen. You're able to take advantage of it, take the opportunity, take the P2. How was the race for you tonight?
Hey man, at the end there, I was just trying to make it to the end. Every single street race we've done, I've made some kind of silly error. So I was just like, just don't crash. But yeah, that incident down at turn one, I was thinking about using push to pass to keep up with them, but I was like, something could happen. Maybe I shouldn't. Glad I didn't. That gave me enough space to just slam on the brakes and get around them. And then with Ryan's front wing, which barely cost him any pace, honestly, but it was enough to let me slip in a second when he made a mistake, and then yeah, just bringing the car home at the end. We were talking about like stocks and stuff, Garrett and I. So I was kind of losing a bit of concentration, but I was in the last few laps. I was like, just get to the end, get that
Mm-hmm.
podium. Haven't had one all season, so it's good to be here, definitely. But yeah, it was good. No mistakes at all, so I'm happy with it.
Nick?
As you've mentioned, and as a theme of this evening, Mr. Cummings, attrition. Only 7 cars finished on the lead lap. Of 14 cars in total actually took some form of the checkered. A lot of attrition gave you the opportunities to increase your running position all the way up to P2. What is the mindset that you're taking into these races, knowing that the wrecking rate, the mistake rate is just so high, and this car being so fragile has very little margin for error?
Well, I mean, I'm a great example of what not to do most of the time, because I would make mistakes, whether it be messing up qualifying and then getting involved in someone else's mess, or getting too close to behind someone else coming up to a really critical turn and just misjudging the entry. It's just pace is really important because you do need to start up toward the front to avoid those first lap bits of chaos. So either start in the pits or start at the front, and we started up close enough to the front to avoid any of that, and then just got a little lucky. There's a lot of luck to it, obviously, but it's kind of difficult because you need to not be distracted by any of the bits of information that you have on your screen, whether it be race labs or eye overlay or anything. There's a lot of data you can input and kind of analyze yourself to kind of better understand your race and what you can do to give yourself the best chance at the end. But at racetracks like these, you just have to either ask someone else if you have the luxury of that or just not worry about it, because the second you lose concentration, that you could just like that snap, and then your race is over because they are so fragile. It's you're lucky if you have some kind of incident and your race isn't over immediately. So yeah, it really is just not even worrying about pace so much. Just get the track position early, and then just maintain, and then just let whatever mistakes happen let you pick up the pieces at the end.
Well, starting in P5 up to P2, a strong drive for you. So before we let you go, a quick shout out. Uh, yeah.
Who do I want to shout out? Yeah, yeah, the Converse Esports, definitely they're watching this one, I believe. So yeah, glad I can get you guys the podium after a. It's been an okay season. Made some really silly mistakes, but I've had some fun. So glad they got to watch this one that actually went really well. So a big thank you to them, and a big thank you to you guys for keeping the production going despite our beloved Keith leaving at the end of last week. And yeah, thanks to the CIL as a whole for all that they do to put on a fantastic league and 3 separate series for us to run and enjoy.
Well, Jay Cummings for Converse University, the Converse University Watch Party. Hello, hello. And yes, you heard it here, folks. P2 for Jake and an okay season. Well, let's see if you're able to hopefully close out this season on a great note for in 2 weeks' time.
We'll see. Thank you, man.
Have a good one.
You too.
Well, Nick. Oh wait, no, sorry. I forgot. We have one more driver before Andrew Burrow, and that's Cale Davidson for Ball State University. So let's bring up the winner for Ball State, Cale Davidson, also known as Dale Davidson in the Discord. You are tonight's CIL Grand Prix winner, the Long Beach Grand Prix winner. An amazing drive. I mean, a lot of people were. I would say a lot of people. When I met really Ryan Whitlock was talking to you about how he has a shot to win it, and you come in tonight, you answered with the pole, and you're able to hold on to it. How does it feel?
I mean, it definitely feels good. It feels dominant. It feels this win definitely feels more deserved than the Texas win since that one was kind of so close and there was like restarts at the end. But then this one was kind of go up, show out, put down some good laps, show some good pace. So definitely feel more rewarding after this one.
Yep.
Mr. Davidson, Mrs. Davidson is your biggest fan. You got Hi Mom on the roll bar every week. Um, you know what's the mindset going into this evening, knowing that due to the event of just some drivers being unable to compete, you are the best driver in the field. Did that add any pressure to your mindset?
That definitely added a ton of pressure to my mindset in that way because I necessarily wasn't saying anything about my pace, but I had Ryan text me saying, "I know you have pace." And then I had like all my teammates I guess were saying that I had good pace and that kind of stuff and hyping it up. But when they're doing that, it's like I'm over here, I'm just kind of wanting to like fly under the radar and not like have a ton of pressure there. So going into this race, I was definitely nervous, and I mean, you can kind of see like the first couple laps, like especially into like turn 12, that last sector, I was definitely making some mistakes. I wasn't too focused. I was focused on other things that I kind of had to reel it back in and like gain myself. But kind of once I got into a rhythm, like that pressure that I had built up kind of fell away, and I was able to just kind of put down some clean, consistent laps.
Clean and consistent. I mean, I think that's the motto for tonight's race because that's definitely what you were able to accomplish and even do more so. As I was gonna say from the statistics here, I believe this is one of the fastest race that we've had, with a race time of 49 minutes and 59 seconds. So you had a sub 50-minute race. So Kale, really quick on the track, in and out of pit road. Congratulations on the win tonight. And before we let you go, a quick shout out.
Yeah, definitely want to shout out all of my teammates. I know we're missing a couple teammates, and it wasn't a great race overall, but I do want to shout them all out because they all had great pace. The amount of work that they put in for this race, and just we were good, we were consistent, and we were kind of expecting to have a better finish through the whole team, but overall the practice and the dedication that they have is great. So shout out to Lucas, Dylan, Nick, and then I mean Alif too, but he's in Vegas right now. And then shout out my esports director Dan and BK, and then my mom and my dad and my grandma and my grandpa, and then Indy Hood Rats and Miller Farms for sponsoring the new purple car this week.
I guess I was gonna mention quickly, Kale. Yeah, that purple car looking flashy and beautiful as ever on the streets of Long Beach. Congratulations on the win, and good luck in the final race of the season in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
And that was our race winner of tonight. And following up, our alumni winner, Nick. Please do the introductions and open us up with this one.
We're gonna bring him in here. He deserves it more than anything. It's been a long time coming for me to say this, but Mr. Burl, welcome to the booth. Winner
Thank you.
of something in the CIL. Andrew, we started in CIL together. You got to go all the way back to season 3 of competition as a whole. And I'll say it for us both. Luck has never been on either side. And your grandmother's watching. She knows you got an emotional call in. It finally something goes your way, and you've won. Tell us. I know it's only P8, but it's a win in the books. What is going through your mind?
Oh God. Yeah. Man, to think I came all the way from when you got me to do this from GT3s at Daytona where I think I was 15 seconds off the pace to having a little bit of luck to have Cohen and Clint wreck, which sucks for Clint. He's my teammate, but you gotta keep it out of the wall, and that's what I did. And yeah, I don't really have words.
Well, I got words for you. I got a question for you, Andrew Burrow. I mean, I've considered myself probably now a I would say a moderate of experience in this league for 3 seasons, and I mean I've been chasing a win for a while this season. I've got 3 second places, so I mean to win in a category, to be considered now a CIL winner. Um, I mean, just how much going into this race were you expecting this, or I mean, out of this race now, because I mean, it looks like you're a loss of words, but and I guess if it helps, what's one word you can describe right now what you're feeling?
Shock, utter shock.
Mm.
I, you
Elaborate.
know, yeah. So, you know, you've had 3 years experience or a couple of seasons,
Sorry,
and
3 semesters, 3 semesters. So that's like a year and a
yeah,
half. I'm sorry to the folks. No, I do not have 3 years, but 3 semesters, which is a year and a half, which is it makes even more of a thing. Go ahead.
yeah. It 3 semesters, but you see how competitive this field is in any series that you run, and
Of course.
seeing the top guys, and almost a lot of times it's demoralizing seeing how fast some of these guys are, and trying to do your best, but they just always seem to get away from you. But sometimes luck just the ball bounces your way, and you got to hold it for what it is.
Indeed, indeed. And the ball was in your court tonight. I mean, that was just an incredible drive from you. I don't want to let you go this early. So, Nick, you got one more thing to tell? Talk to your driver, talk to your friend.
You know, Burrow, we've been at it for quite some time, me and you, and man, I get a little bit emotional, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I've had to fend off a couple times telling you to not quit, and
yeah,
I you know I don't care if it was eighth on the track, man. I'm more proud of this drive of yours and anything I've ever seen you do, man.
thank you.
That
Yeah,
was a
it. I
heck of a race, heck of a show, man.
I'll
What a race car driver.
I'll definitely say that this kind of accounts for a lot of the stuff that's happened the last couple of seasons and last couple of years. I really hadn't been fun, and it was a little demoralizing every week getting wrecked, or you know not being able to finish, and not seeming to be competitive. But this makes it all seem just a little bit sweeter.
Well, if it makes it feel any sweeter, Anna McTeer Anna McTeer says, "Congratulations, Andrew. So proud of you. Love heart emojis." Saying that Burl's Nana is here. So you're gonna get a nice phone call, a nice text, and a proud family. And congratulations on behalf of Nick as and behalf of me. Really, I mean, it's just amazing to be a winner, and hopefully I get to see you again here in the booth. Hopefully, maybe you can sneak in or accomplish another victory in 2 weeks' time, perhaps.
Hey, you
Bef-
never know.
You never know. So before we let you go, give your quick shout outs, and yeah.
Well, obviously I gotta shout out my great grandmother. Well, she's not my great grandmother; she's my grandmother, but she is amazing, and she is honestly a majority of the reason why I still do this, and do this week in week out for her, so she can sit and watch and talk about me. But I gotta shout out y'all for giving us a great broadcast to sit back and watch, and making us seem a little more important. And of course, I gotta thank my teammates, Nick. I know Nordberg's the producer for this broadcast, but Drew, Clint, DeWale, Whitlock, uh, Kumi, all those guys. I couldn't be here without any of them.
Well, a heartfelt moment, and well, it's almost got tears in my eyes because it's really amazing, Andrew Burrow. Congrats on being the alumni winner tonight, and we're gonna have to let you go. So hopefully you celebrate tonight, get your milk, do whatever you want to do, and hopefully we get to see you again in 2 weeks' time.
Hopefully, thank you.
Well, Nick, that was our alumni Long Beach winner, and I mean, emotional indeed, and just really all positive vibes for him, and a really great milestone after 8 years. Well, many years of CIL. And speaking of years, let's talk about a little bit of a schedule. So next week, Nick, can you have the honor as the Cup director?
Next week, we do a first of its kind in the CIL. There will only be one event next week. It is the first ever CIL Cup Series All Star Race. All to play for, all past CIL Cup Series winners and playoff drivers from season 7 to now are invited to attend. We will have any driver who's not eligible racing their way in an open. We've got drivers from the professional scene in sim racing all the way to drivers who are professional in the real world coming to race next week in the CIL Cup Series All Star Race live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway for 100 laps to win. We can't give everybody $1 million, but we're gonna give them $200 instead of the winner. But it's gonna be an incredible show. And then the week after that, for Cup Series, they
Mhm.
stay out there in Las Vegas for the Championship 4 race from Las
Woo!
Vegas Motor Speedway, the last Championship 4 race in CIL history going down next week. It's going to be one to see and one to watch. And then following up with that, you have FC in its final race at the Texas Twister Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas, and then the final race of CIL Season 11 competition, the 2 hours of Fuji.
And
At,
that 2 hours of Fuji is gonna be a tough cookie to crack. I mean, I heard that they're gonna be racing at sunrise. It's gonna be nearly 3 a.m. and might have a little bit of rain, so they're gonna be driving in the dark in the wets. I mean, phew, Nick, are you? Would you be ever interested in doing that? I can't.
no,
Well,
we're not getting into car stuff.
yeah, no, I wouldn't, but also I totally not because I'm under contract as a full-time CSC commentator. So you folks will see me there as well. But Nick, I wanted to mention, piggybacking off what you said for next week, as it's going to be the only CIL race. So just as a note for everybody, happy Thanksgiving next week. I know that a lot of people will celebrate, eat their turkeys, and so as Nick said, we're only going to have one CIL sanction competition. That's going to be next Monday. That is the CIL Cup All Star Race, first of its kind. Be there, or you're going to get a 4X in your next NIS race. And Nick, could you consider this one of the most competitive CIL races? I mean, it's like a blast from the past. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get everybody who has achieved great success in this series, and like you said, ones who are professionals, even in IRL, and it's going to be a precursor to the championship four, the final four. Jay Cummings, Mario Miranda, Jared Kaler, and your teammate Nick Clint Halterman, an alumni driver. They're all going to be fighting for a cup championship, and I mean, we all know who already won this championship in FC. But Nick, how excited are you for this? I would say wrapping up the season 11.
Excited and a little bit relieved. This has been probably the longest season ever from an admin perspective, and definitely one that has had a lot of difficult moments, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, next week you've got guys like Coke driver Logan Clampett, Coke spotter Santi Tires, and Coke spotter Robbie
Ooh.
Bramble Jr. You got IRL NASCAR Truck Series driver Jake Drew. You've got Matthew Morton, who just announced that he has made the free agency window
Ooh.
for Coke. He is going to be a Coke Series rookie.
Mm-hmm.
You've got people who have used CIL in the past to develop their skills and move on to the next level. They're all coming back to say, I was the first ever CIL All Star race winner.
Ooh.
As a director of the series, when this opportunity came forward onto my desk, it was an opportunity I could not pass up. It is something to say the least. When you have a lot of people that say what if, well, what if this, like, for FC example, what if Sean Campbell ever actually raced against R Muhammad Alif? Well, now we have the people who dominated every era of CIL Cup Series competition. They're coming back. We get the opportunity to say, well, what if they raced? They will race against each other, and we will get to see who actually will win. And that's something to note. And then you move right on into the very next week with the last ever Championship 4 in Cup Series competition. I would darn right say it's going to be the most intense race of CIL Cup Series history.
Whew.
$250 on the line to the winner of that championship, and 4 drivers who are not willing to give an inch. You got Mario Miranda, you've got Jake Cummings, you've got Jared Kaler, and you've even got Clint Haltman. And you got 4 guys in there who know how to get it done. They know how to be champions in their own respective right, and
Hmm.
they want one more to add on to their tally, and it's going to be interesting to watch.
Interesting indeed. And with that, unfortunately, we will have to come to a close. I gotta say, thank you, Nick Stockner, for coming in and joining as a co-commentator for tonight. As your main host, Edward Sanchez. It's been a pleasure. And also shout out to Matthew Nordberg, the man of the hour, coming in to produce tonight. I mean, overall, it's been a blast, Nick. I've had a lot of fun. Please check out our socials down below at Nick the Stick and at Fanky479. And also look out on social media. You might hear little birdie told me, Nick, that CIL might have their own Drive to Survive documentary. Who knows? But if you want to know more, hit that subscribe button.